Hi everyone. Today I want to talk with you about checking in with those in your life. And we are all affected by COVID-19 in some way, shape, or form, some more so than others. And so I want to talk with you today about being able to identify if someone may be having a hard time, and then what you specifically can do to help support those that you may be concerned about. So, like I said, we are all affected in some way by what is going on. Some of the things, signs or symptoms that you may notice that might raise some concern about those that are in your life. You may notice that it feels like their mood has changed. If they feel more down, maybe they feel more irritable or more edgy, like keyed up, or maybe anxious. If it feels like there's been some shift or change in personality, that is a pretty good indicator that something's going on and that person may be having a hard time. If people talk with you about significant changes in their sleep or having a really hard time focusing or concentrating on what they're needing to do, that may be a sign or symptom that something's going on. If somebody's reporting any alcohol abuse or significant increase in alcohol or drug use, that may be a sign telling you that there's something going on and the person's trying to cope or get through their challenging feelings. If it's somebody at work, maybe their productivity is down, they're not acting like themselves, they're not doing their work in the same way, that could be an indicator. Now, as I talk about all these signs and symptoms, now it could mean that something is going on for that person and they're having a really hard time, but it may be also just a function of the change in our routine and what we're going through. So for example, if somebody's, let's say, not being as productive as they usually are, well, they're at home, they may have a family, that may be an indicator or a bigger factor than let's say they're feeling depressed and unmotivated and having a harder time focusing on their work. So you kind of have to balance context and situational factors, but maybe you don't know. And so I think it's very important that you check in with the person, and that can just be calling them up or FaceTiming them or texting them and asking them, how are you doing? How are you coping with all this? Like, holy crap, this is such a huge event in everyone's life, and it's a challenge for everyone. And so being able to check in with them and give them the space and the room to be able to talk about what they're going through. If you notice that there are concerns that you have about a particular person and they're not bringing that up in the conversation, it's important to be able to be specific about what your concern is. So being able to say, hey, I noticed that you're avoiding texts, or you're not answering phone calls, or I'm seeing some concerning things that you're posting online about how you're really struggling. I wanted to check in and see how you're doing. So being able to give specifics, kind of behavioral observations that you have if the person's not bringing those up, so that you can voice your concerns to them. And then being able to, as you're talking with them, to avoid labels. So, not asking them like, what is wrong with you? Or you shouldn't be feeling that way. Really trying to be empathic and hear them, to understand what that person is going through. Because truly, most of the time, people don't want specific answers. They're not looking for solutions. They're wanting to be heard. They're wanting to be understood. So if somebody's having a really hard time, being able to reflect and understand what it is that they're feeling, not your interpretation of what you would imagine that would be like if you were in the situation, but really being able to hear what their experience is. That can go so far for people. As you know, as a therapist, I certainly have skills and interventions that I know and I use with the people that I work with. But the impact of being able to help somebody put words to how they're feeling, and to have another person reflect what they're experiencing is, and to communicate that understanding, goes so far in our experiences. And then also not worrying about if you've gotten it right or if you've gotten it wrong. I say to clients all the time, like, sometimes I'll get it right and understand, and sometimes I won't. And I love the opportunity when I'm reflecting back and I haven't gotten it right, and the person can tell me I haven't gotten it right. That all of a sudden has given me a deeper understanding. It's helped to clarify. It's helped to challenge any assumptions that I was making about my understanding, so that I can really connect with the person. And I think that's really helpful for people. So I think that's an important piece of this. And as you hear them, as you understand their experience, if there's any practical help that you can offer, whether it's if somebody's overwhelmed because they're at home and they're with their children and they're trying to I don't know, do schooling with them, or just really busy with little kids, maybe bringing over a dinner or ordering something for them could be a huge help. So if there's any practical help that you can do, but keep in mind that, again, most people aren't looking for solutions necessarily. They want to feel empowered that they can do things for themselves and that they're not being reliant on others. But sometimes it is really helpful if you can give some practical assistance to people. And being able to ask them too. People often know what they do need, so maybe they will be able to identify what it is that they're looking for. What else? I think that's pretty much it. I think being hopeful, trying to be helpful and really hearing. And of course, if somebody needs assistance or they need professional help, if you think being able to talk with someone, to talk with a therapist could be helpful for the person. Most everyone that I know, including my practice, we are all doing teletherapy, online therapy, just like you're seeing me right now, very similar to FaceTime or Skype or Zoom. And so encouraging someone or even helping them do some research and pointing them in a direction to get help. Psychologytoday.com is a great place to find therapists. You just put in your zip code, and so you can find therapists that way. You can do a Google search, put in your zip code, and if there's specific areas that you want to that you're struggling with, you can find people with specialties. That's another way of doing it. So those are my thoughts about helping to support those around you, to not be afraid to bring it up. I think that's the biggest thing, to not worry about, how somebody's going to respond, because if it's coming from a place of caring and concern, and not judgment, that person's going to be able to hear you and know that you're wanting to help, and that you respect and value that relationship, and you're wanting the person to get what they need. So trust in that, and go and connect with those that are important to you, and check in on those that you have any concern for. All right, have a great day.